Okay, this is Cindy Lyon again with Greetings and Memories. We are moving on to the second card in our Sweet Strawberry class, which is the Happy Birthday card. And you will see that this is the one where I originally planned it to use the black ink for our image outlines, but I am going to go ahead and demo an alternative for you here without the black ink. So let me go ahead and set that just out of the way. And you're going to grab your supply packet that has that garden green layer and that die cut circle. Those are the pieces that we're going to need for this card. So let's grab this layer to start off with. And I apologize if I'm doing this a little bit differently than the PDF, because as I said, I am going to adapt that design for you. You can see in the original sample, I stamped the outlines in black and then filled in with color, but this time we're going to just eliminate the black and do the whole thing in color. So I'm going to grab that outline for the strawberry first. Whoops. And ink that up in Poppy Parade ink. And I'm going to just randomly stamp strawberries on here every which way. You can turn them upside down if you like. I'm not. I'm keeping mine all right side up, but that's personal preference. And I'm not worried about putting anything right in the middle there because that's where our sentiment is going to go. And we put a little one down here at the bottom. And how about another one up here at the top? There, that looks good to me. Okay. Clean this off and switch over to our fill stamp. And you may have noticed that my stamps look pink instead of clear. And that's because anytime you use any of our inks, let me get that a little more centered. Anytime you use our inks in the reds or purples, they are going to stain the photopolymer stamps, but that doesn't hurt them in any way or affect the way that they work. That's just property of the pigments there. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up that fill stamp and go back up here and fill in all my stamped strawberries. Okay, clean that off and put it away. Oops, and I got some ink on my thumb there. And we'll close up the, well, actually, I'm going to leave that Poppy Parade ink open because, now before we do the stems, we're going to do our sentiment layer. And I'll tell you the reason for that in just a minute. But okay, again, I had used black ink on the original card, but we're going to go ahead and do our sentiment in Poppy Parade ink this time. So I am using the Happy Birthday, You Sweet Thing sentiment. If you want to use one of the other ones, that's fine, but I find that I need a lot of birthday cards and a lot of thank you cards. Those are the ones that I go through quickly. So I'm going to ink that up in Poppy Parade. Oops, and I got some ink on the corner of my block there, so I'm going to wipe that off with my chamois just so I don't risk making a mess of my die cut circle here. So, oh, and it looks like ink that a little better. There we go. Now it's evenly inked. And I will stamp the sentiment on there. And now I will close up my Poppy Parade ink and put it away. So we're not going to adhere this layer yet, but what I wanted to show you is figure out where you're going to place that on your card. And then that helps you determine how many stems you need. Because as you can see, I'm not going to, or cap, I guess I would call it the strawberry cap. But you can see I'm not going to need one here because it would be covered up. And these don't show the top, so it looks like I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strawberry caps. So I'm going to set that stuff aside and grab my scrap of white cardstock and my garden green ink. And again, rather than doing black outlines, I'll go ahead and do the outlines in garden green. And 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. And go back with that fill stamp and fill those in. And again, making sure the stem is lined up so that you get that lined up pretty well. Don't worry if it's not perfect though. And I'm going to stop talking so we can speed this part up for you. Okay, and that's all the stamping we need to do for this card. So get the ink out of the way there so I don't stick my arm in it. And now it's time to cut these out with the paper snips. So again, I will be quiet so I can fast forward through this part of the video. Okay, you probably noticed a little break in the video there because I decided that you probably didn't really want or need to watch me cut out all of those strawberry caps. So this would be the time that you could pause the video and get caught up and get yours all cut out before we move on to the next step. But okay, so now the next thing we are going to do is go ahead and glue all of these onto our strawberries. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the multi-purpose glue on the back of each of those and glue it in place. I don't know why so much is coming out. Oh, I see what happened. That got loosened there. So normally I try to use just a tiny bit of glue, and so much was coming out there because the cap got messed up. Okay. Yeah, need to wipe that off. It's making a bit of a mess. And this one, I'm going to glue that on, and then what I'll do is once I get them all glued, I'll trim off the little bit that's sticking off the edge there. Okay, and like I said, I'll go ahead and flip that over and trim off the bits that are sticking out past the edge. Looks like I have a tiny bit sticking out there and some sticking out there. And let me get this gluey mess out of the way here. Okay, now the next step is going to be to grab that garden green layer, and we're going to put some adhesive on the back of our stamped layer and adhere it there. And up to you whether you want to use liquid glue or Stampin' Seal. Either one will do the job. And get that to dispense properly there. There we go. And get that straight to there. Now our next step is going to be to tie our twine around the card. And on the first card, I just showed you the standard way to do it. This time I'm going to show you a little cheat that you can do. I've actually got 2 long pieces of string here, but we're going to go ahead and cut those in half and give us 4 shorter pieces. I'm sorry, I have glue all over my fingertips, so it's going to stick into the string. Okay, let's cut these roughly in half there. And then I'll show you the little cheat that makes bows easier. What we're going to do now is we're going to take 2 pieces and again, I'm not going to adhere my greeting layer yet, but I want to kind of just place it on here so that I can get my string in about the right spot. So, okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to stick the ends of the string to the back side of the cardstock. And then let's just go ahead and apply more adhesive to the corners there. And we'll stick that onto the card front before we move on to the next step. Then this adhesive here isn't going to be causing problems. So I know this is not the same order that I have in the PDF instructions, but this is what works better for this little cheat I want to show you here. So get that as straight as I can there. Okay, now here's the cheat part. Now we're going to take these other 2 shorter pieces of string and we're going to just slide them under here and go ahead and tie a bow. Because that is usually going to be easier than the way that I showed you on the other card. I'll kind of play around with that a little bit. And the other thing is you can easily slide that back and forth to adjust the position of your bow rather than trying to shimmy the whole piece of string around. So, okay, now the last thing we need to do is go ahead and put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back of our sentiment and stick that down. And since that's a bigger piece, I'll put one right in the middle there too. And then we can go ahead and stick that down, and it looks like I already have the bow right where it needs to be. I don't even have to move it. But if I needed to, like I said, just slide that back and forth. So there you go. There's version A using black and version B without any black. And again, don't forget to embellish your envelope.